Hey, everybody, and welcome to our Heat Press for Profit podcast. I am Liz with Stalls. Welcome, everybody. I have been anticipating this podcast. I'm so excited for this topic. But before we get started, y'all know the drill. In the chats, where are we streaming from? I am here in our Transfer Express studio out in Menor, Ohio. So let me know where you are tuning in from. Please feel free to use the chat feature. We do have the wonderful moderator, Carly, that will be answering any questions in the chat. And just so you know, we are live on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. So wherever you're tuning in from, say hi. I hope you had a lovely Thanksgiving for those who celebrate. It was a much needed time to relax. Unless some of you were burning the midnight oil, worked through the holiday, getting those last minute orders in. All right, we have at Tanya from Georgia. Hello, hello. So just so you know, this podcast, we are your go-to resource for all things heat printing, decorating. We talk about what's new in the industry. We talk about, certain equipment that is trending or what you need to do to profit or grow your business. So on this episode, our second to the last episode for 2025, don't fret, the month of January, we do take a little bit of a hiatus, but I will be back in February to kick off the year. Hello. Oh, hi, Patrick. Patrick from Caesar. Hi, friend. Good to have you join. Are you here to state your case, Patrick, on what's the best method? So with that being said, this podcast, this specific episode, we're kind of talking about the trends that direct-to-film can't cover. Now, full disclosure, disclaimer, I am a fan of direct-to-film transfers. So I am not saying they're wrong, they're right, or any print method is wrong or right. It's just some of us have a preference. What is the bread and butter of your company? So we're going to have a good, friendly conversation about different methods and how it makes sense. So if you're up for the challenge, you can throw it in the chat throughout this podcast of, well, I'm a fan of XYZ, or I'm a fan of this method and it is the best. And that is fantastic because at the end of the day, you know what you want to use, but nothing wrong with bringing awareness to other decoration methods. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me just take a swig of my coffee. And again, throughout the next 30 minutes, put your preferred method. Are you screen printer all the way, embroidery all the way? Maybe you do direct to garment. So, and I also have a few goodies that I'm going to show as well. Now, with a podcast, I typically do not demo anything. I do own a heat press, but I won't be pressing anything. If you are someone that is seeking more hands-on or getting more of that educational aspect, I highly recommend heading over to our webinars. They're free. That's when we have a full hour, sometimes hour and a half of going through and actually demoing and heat pressing a lot of cool things. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about direct-to-film as a process. So the last few years, it has been kind of taking over and dominating the industry, right? So why do we think it has captured the hearts of a lot of decorators? Why did it grab the attention so quickly? Now, I remember, I've been with Stalls for almost 8 years now, and I was raised in Transfer Express. That's where I was hired, the screen printing side of things. So my background is more, with the screen printing. And then I got more involved in vinyl, emblems and patches, and different things. So I remember when that full color was still in the birthing stages, right? Where a lot of them was going through testing, going from a cold peel to a hot peel, making sure that color accuracy is good, making sure all of the chemistry and all the engineering behind it has advanced. And also the minimums. There's hardly, whoever you order from, there's hardly any minimums. You get one, you need one, you need 50, you need 50. The full color capability. Hopefully it has that quick turnaround that you're needing for your print on demand orders. And it just became a fascination. Like, I need it. I need to get my hands on this product. So when it comes to direct to film, I think it's good to have the conversation of, do I want to just order it as a heat transfer, or do I really want to buy the equipment? So some of the assumptions and the challenges, think about what decorators could be missing out on if we rely so heavily on direct to film. So let me check these chats. Tanya, I'm still a fan of Caesar HTV. I love mixed media. I do too. Okay, what is Patrick saying here? I believe all yes, 100%. So yes, I believe all decoration method have a place in this beautiful of creation. Yes, I am too, Patrick. World. I am too. So for those of you who are strictly, I just do direct to film, or you do screen printed transfers, let's talk about it. Now, I am not telling you, disclaimer, of to use or not to use certain methods, because let's be honest, when you're having those conversations with your customer, if they're looking for a specific look, direct to film can't handle it all. Because let's talk about the alternatives. Let's explore those options. So we're going to start with direct to film, obviously. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Let me see what I have in my goodie bag here of what I brought. So DTF direct to film. Typically, it comes on a release paper like so. You're able to do the full color. You're able to achieve fine lines. You're able to get like a nice buttery finish to it. So whether you're ordering the heat transfers, some of you might also have a DTF printer. I think it's important to do your homework. Now, they can be costly. I have seen some online that are, this amount, let's say 200, up into the thousands. Now, obviously, if you have unlimited funds flowing in, you're like, I'm just going to get it. But I think as decorators, or being in this industry, we kind of have to do our due diligence and do our research. Because with those printers, you have to have a controlled temperature environment. There's fumes, and you have to make sure there's maintenance on it. If it's super humid, or if you have to make sure, because the last thing you want is your customer saying, Liz, this isn't working for me. I don't know what you are doing with the direct to film. I can't accept this order. They're peeling off. So it's important to make sure you have the space. Is it going in your basement? You want this 10, 12 foot, whatever. And they have them in different sizes. But I think when it's that new flashy piece of equipment, like some of us have that FOMO, like I am missing out, I need it. So it's very important that you do your research before you invest thousands of dollars. Because I'm going to be honest, I have traveled across the country, attending trade shows, and having those conversations with attendees and our clients, like, I spent it and it's not working out and I can't return it. So I am not for or against. If it works for you, I support that. So another thing is the technology has come so far, even in this industry. Now, again, I've only been in this for 8 years, but going back, 20, 30, 40 years ago, the advancements that have, been put in place, the automation. It's incredible. If you didn't catch our podcast from 2 weeks ago, we had Jeff, that is the creator of the Stampinator that's used with traditional screen printing. Like, who would have thought of that? So catch that replay if you're a screen printer and you're looking to, be more efficient in your process, which kind of leads us to our next decoration method. Let me set this aside. I'm going to check our chats. Before we explore our next one. Oh, hi, Eddie from Florida. Thanks for joining. So next we have screen printed transfers. Now, yes, I fully support screen printing, and whether you do the traditional screen printing where you have the screens and the ink and the squeegees, you have the whole carousel set up, I still appreciate that method and that art. Whether you can do a full color process or a one color. And again, because I've had conversations in education with screen printers that would be like, well, we like this because, we can really control, the output, and that's great. They try to debate with me because yes, we do screen print transfers. I'm like, that's fantastic because I appreciate that method. Now, screen printing is timeless. I hope it doesn't go anywhere. There is nothing that makes me happy when I peel that screen printed transfer and it looks so good. Because again, this isn't, now don't come at me because I wasn't in the screen printing world back in the 70s, the 80s. But that technology is advancing. The inks are getting cleaner. The inks are just getting vibrant. So it's a great time to be in this industry. And sometimes I can be set in my ways too. Like, I don't want to try that method. This is what I'm going with. And that's okay. You can just click and be like, Liz, I'm sticking with what I want to do. So let's talk about screen printed transfers. So here I have a screen printed transfer in hand. So it's got the look, it's got the feel. Now, as you can see, there's different images. This is just called gang sheeting. So if I want to put a full front, put some other logos, get some more bang for my buck, screen printed transfer. Now, like I said, I'm not demoing anything live, but I think if there were a few more stalls reps in here, when we go to trade shows, 99% of the time, we're going to press a screen print. This is called Goof Proof. You can find it at Transfer Express if you're interested at transferexpress.com. But the amount of people that are like, is this direct to film? And I said, no, this is a screen print. Hot peel, 4 seconds. And so I brought something printed on my tote. So I did this tote bag for a video. I don't know, maybe this summer. So this is a screen print. Don't kill my vibe. So if I want to take this to my farmer's market. Again, the advancements of screen print, it has such a soft feel to it. Doesn't feel gritty. If you ever see us at a trade show or you have samples, heat apply it. Feel for yourself. I think, again, when it comes to the trends, right? Because in the description, well, what trends can it cover? So let's be real about trends for a moment. They go quick. Something could be trending today and boom, poof, it's gone by the end of the month. Now, having the real estate, having the product line, sometimes it can be a little challenging. But I will say, and I don't know, you can agree or disagree, but I think some trends are kind of timeless. Think of like a leather jacket. Think of a jean jacket. Even though I saw a meme the other day that said, if you see a person wearing a jean jacket, they're over 30. Come on, a jean jacket, please. And I have a few in my closet as we speak. So I think there are some pieces that will stand the test of time. A Letterman jacket, a t-shirt. So don't fret. T-shirts aren't going anywhere. I still love a good branded soft t-shirt if it has a cool design. I love hoodies, you know, basic set, like if it's a jogger set, like athleisure wear, that isn't going anywhere. And also consider demographic. There are some pieces that I think of the West Coast. Certain styles, you know, is a little bit more dominant than maybe the East Coast. So in the Midwest, just throw in my husband, he loves to fish. So Patagonia, certain brands that they're going to be drawn to. Where if I try to, I don't know if Patagonia would work on the West Coast. I'm not sure. I'm sure people fish in the ocean over there. But again, that goes back to doing your homework. And I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with it, but throughout education, you'll hear me during the podcast and even during the webinar, you have to sometimes write out what your goal is, what your customer's goal is, and what are they trying to achieve with the logo, with the brand. So I think it's a beautiful thing. You know, Patrick said, we welcome all decoration methods. You know, I joke around, state your case, let's debate which is better for which job. But I think we can all agree that it is what the customer wants and what the customer is seeking. So don't come at me. I appreciate all different decoration methods. We have Julie from Australia. Well, hello. Thank you for tuning in all the way from Australia. I appreciate that. All right, so talked about direct to film. We talked about screen printed. Here's something else we have to consider. Specialty finishes. So to my knowledge, I could be wrong. I've been doing some research. I don't know if there's a direct to film that offers that prints texture. So like I said, maybe that's something that's in the works. Somebody's in a lab, you know, oh, I'm going to make a direct to film that looks like leather. I don't know. So I think it's also important we give heat transfer vinyl, HTV, Caesar. We're excited. The people that love vinyl get excited because it is not dying. I read an article. I'm signed up for like different articles and like in the heat printing world. And so I remember reading like how vinyl is kind of like taking a breather, a pause. And I'm like, no, there is still so many benefits with vinyl because there's specialty finishes. Head on over. You need to now, I'm going to give a quick shout out since Caesar is now our partner. Head over to After Dark with Patrick that does it for Caesar. He really does such an excellent job with how to use this vinyl for the holidays or how to mix media, you know, putting maybe a plain color vinyl with glitter vinyl. So he really does orchestrate such a great 30 minutes to an hour. So just to, you know, give a quick shout out to Caesar. Again, staying connected to education of, okay, Liz, you're spitting out all these different decoration methods. So now what? So I would say going to a trade show to stay connected, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's talk about specialty finishes. So when hold on, let me grab, bear with me. Grab the studio here at Transfer Express. She's getting a little bit of a remodel. So everything's a little bit scattered. You can't see it here, but everything that way, it's all disarray. So stay tuned. She's undergoing a nice remodel. Did I grab? Okay. So I don't know if you can see this. This is a twill, but it has a chrome effect to it. Again, I did not bring, if I were to bring every, decoration method here, I just wouldn't have the time. This would be into an after dark. So again, there is this nice sheen to it. This is just a twill with a chrome effect to it. So surprisingly, I thought it took me by surprise because I thought specialty finishes was going to just, take a back seat in the bus. I didn't realize that customers were still seeking and craving. I want something that has glitz. I want the razzle dazzle. So it's not going anywhere. And that's what I'm saying is don't panic if you're like, Liz, I can't keep up with the trends. I'm just trying to print and heat press and stitch to get through 2025. So that's why you have us here at the podcast, our YouTube content. You have met with, presenters at trade shows. That's, we'll do the heavy lifting. We do our best to stay in the forefront to be like, here's what you need to know now. And also rhinestones. I was having a conversation, I think it might have been with Kelly Walters at Printing United, that rhinestones are coming back. People are seeking rhinestones. So put that in your back pocket. So don't be surprised this coming year or maybe now be like, hey, do you offer rhinestones? So rhinestones, anything glittery, glitzy. So get ready. Don't say I didn't warn you. So those of you who maybe decorate in the spirit industry, like cheer or dance, gymnastics. So you heard it from me. So get ready. Don't be surprised. Carla, what's trending in 2026? So that is on my docket. Just 1 second. We will go over that. So before we do, out of my goodie bag here. Did I bring it? Uh-oh. Hold up. All right. I told you. The studio is everything is somewhere. Did I not? Yep, I did. Okay. Thanks for being patient. Give me some grace. Direct to film, screen printed transfers, vinyl with specialty finishes. Again, this is just scratching the surface because there's a lot of different techniques out there. You have your embroiderers. Shout out to embroiderers. I have visited shops before, and more power to you. It's so mesmerizing watching the needle and like the thread go. I'm like, that is so cool. But sometimes they're like, I don't have the space for, a 10 head, embroidery machine. So let's not forget about emblems and patches. So think about, the 3D look, those tactile type finishes. So again, what DTF can't cover. So when we're looking at, sorry if it's far away, folks. So this is chenille. And then you have classic puff embroidery. Again, these are just, a few leather, traditional leather. Now, for those of you asking about trends, what's emerging, what's evolving, method, patches and emblems, these aren't going anywhere. I do have a prediction. Like I didn't do research on this prediction. I think embroidery is really going to make a comeback, whether it's for a left chest size or full front or back, going on jackets. I think embroidery is just going to be super trendy. And that's just a prediction, but it still catches the eye. Now, when it comes to trends, listen, I'm going to be honest. I do get to with my team, but I Google. I'm like, just like, what is going to be trending in youth wear for 2026 or for sports or for colleges? Now, I know you're seeking this now, but I don't want to give the whole recipe and the secret sauce right now because our next podcast and my next webinar, we are going to be talking about what's expected in 2026. I know I'm just giving a sprinkle right now, but I just want you to join me again on our next podcast on the 18th and our next webinar on the 11th. So, really quick. Oh, we're good on time. So for the webinar, I am going to have Dave Connor and I'm going to have another guest. We are going to be talking about what innovations, what trending, and it's going to be a panel style. So we do that for the last few years for the webinar. And then our final podcast just for 2025, before we take a little hiatus for a month, I'm going to have Jenna Sackett and I'm going to have Frank Good. So that is on the 18th, right before Christmas. So if you don't know, Jenna, she really has such a niche and talent for trends and what's coming. And then Frank, both of them are with Stalls, but Frank, he has a really good eye for like the technology side. So, visiting shops, he talks to customers all day, every day. So we're going to get a little bit on fabric and fashion. Frank's going to kind of come in with more of the techie kind of things. So hang tight. We have 2 ways. So the webinar on the 11th and then our final podcast on the 18th, that will be fully dedicated to trends. So today is just a sprinkle, but trust me, for those next 2 live sessions, we're going to go more into the trends. Oh, let's see. Hi, Frank. I've also heard rhinestones are trending. It happens every 5 to 7 years. So I guess comes full circle, right? So Carla, TBD, stay tuned. And I just want you all to join us again. This has been, it's been a great year. And I think a lot of us are ready to put this year to bed and then get ready for 2026. So if you want to put in the chat, if you're driving, please do not chat. Focus on the road. I think we can come to the conclusion that direct to film is it's a great decoration method. Screen print, great. We didn't really talk about sublimation or direct to garment. So there is a method that is going to suit for your customer. Because again, let's agree that we want to do what is best for our customer that walks through that door and what they are seeking. So also a lot of, again, this is just because I travel and I talk to a lot of businesses. They're starting to expand their offerings. It's not just a screen print shop. They're starting to get into emblems and patches. Because this is what the consumer wants. And a lot of shops or mom and pop work out of your kitchen basement. They want to stay relevant. They want more in their arsenal and to build their client base. So, all right. So you can put in the chat if you want, what's your favorite method? We're all friends here. Now, again, with those guidelines, when do you decide to use a specialty screen print? that's where you have to kind of compare because there are so many methods. And trust me, when I first started 8 years ago, I'm like, I didn't even know what a heat press was. I didn't know what this machine when I started. I was not raised in this industry. I didn't know this existed. Um, my only thing I had was when I was in Girl Scouts and I ironed patches on my sash. Well, my mom did because I was 8. Well, she actually did let me use an iron. That would have not been safe. But that's the only thing I knew, iron on patches, which I now know that doesn't really work. Don't iron on your patches. So it really takes, those of you watching, you're like, well, I'm pretty seasoned. I've been doing this for 15, 20, 25 years. But for those of you who are brand new, maybe someone gave you a heat press as a gift or you got one from a late uncle, be like, here, do something with this. Give yourself some grace and give yourself some time because there is a lot in this heat printing world. And as you can see, I just scratched the surface with a few offerings that's here. So going to trade shows, attending webinars, watching YouTube content, writing it down. If you don't write it down, sometimes that thought or that idea is you're never going to get it back. So, and be realistic, be like, okay, I'm going to order 50 things, 50 different products. Like, start with something and stay connected. I can't emphasize enough, if you're a lone wolf, you do your own thing. I can respect that. But if you're seeking connection in this industry, stay connected with Stalls and Transfer Express on our YouTube channel. Subscribe because we're putting out weekly videos. Our team, we work really hard to give you good education and good content to be confident and capable decorators. So let's check. The chat's pretty quiet. That's okay. So as we close, if you have any comments or questions, drop them in. Pretty quiet. Okay. So wrapping up, taking everything, I put a lot of information out. And I think if there's a piece of advice for those of you who are, well, Liz, direct to film, it works for us. I don't want to go any other way. I think to stay ahead of the curve, there's nothing wrong with kind of bringing awareness of the different methods out there. Because when I first started, it was just screen printing for me. All I knew was screen printed transfers. I'm like, why not just use this for everything? It's got a great feel to it. But once I saw the capabilities of what vinyl can do, emblems and patches, those different methods, it really opened up a new world. So it is my goal, it is my job being here just to bring the awareness and kind of drop little nuggets of inspiration, be like, you know what, maybe I want to try, see what vinyl will do, or get something glimmer, or get a glitter, or rhinestones, or whatever that is. So if you're wanting to connect again, talking about the methods we discussed, sign up for the webinars. Carly, I don't know if you have the link. Could you drop the link to the webinars just so they have that for me? That would be fantastic because with the webinar, those are live, but you can always catch it on the replay too. But I do encourage you to watch it live because that's where you can, same thing, you can put in your questions, we can answer them live. That's where we demo, we showcase a lot. I turn this heat press on and I press a bunch of different t-shirts and hoodies and sweatshirts, a lot of different items that aren't even apparel. You can do hard goods too. So while she's getting that link, let me go ahead and check the chats one more time. So while she's finding that link for you, just really quick, December 11th, we have a webinar going over trends, innovations, insights, all the goodies. And then our final podcast for 2025, we have Jenna and Frank. More trends. We're just going to get it all in. We're getting it all out there. And also, if there's anything you want to see in a podcast from Stalls, you can email us at, oh goodness, Carly, can you put the email in there too? Where they can reach us. I'm making her work today. I'm sorry. So here is all of our upcoming webinar will be here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And even after this is concluded, you can still use the chat feature. So if there's something you want to see on a podcast, if you're saying, hey, I need help with XYZ, if there's a challenge, or like, I'd really like to know how to build my business using AI. I want to learn how to build a website, or I want to know the best way to financially get set, for my business. How do I get a tax ID? How do I even register my company name? So if there's something because I want to make sure cover what you're seeking. What are you really craving for 2026? Like, what do you need me to educate on? Make me work. Make me do the research, because I do my homework for every podcast. So, okay. Please just DM us on any podcast or webinar suggestions. Excellent. So, if you have some feedback, some ideas, let me know. But with that being said, this does conclude episode. I think this is, oh my goodness, what episode is this? 116. And our final one will be 117. So thank you, those who watch live. You're watching the replay. So what do you think? Are we thinking about maybe trying a different method, screen printed transfers, emblems and patches? There are so many different options. And thank you, everybody, so very much for taking the time listening to this podcast. We do our best to make sure you stay educated ahead of the game. Again, creating confident and capable decorators. So Carly, thank you so much for moderating the chats. And those of you who chimed in, said hello, please watch our final episode on February, on December 18th, and get your questions ready, write them down, and let's finish this year strong. And with that being said, you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody. Thank you.